Hey guys, thanks for joining me. This is Angie at Chicken Scratch. This is the project we're making today. Okay, we are using a brand new stamp set, bundle I should say. It's the Sailing Home bundle. It has the stamp set and the coordinating framelits. Here's the rest of the framelits inside the box. Okay, let me give you the measurements. We've got Sahara Sand cardstock that measures 11 by 7. Whisper White for our stamping, so that would be the lighthouse and the greeting. The Designer Series paper that coordinates with this suite, and it measures 3.5 by 3 3/4, and then we've got some silver foil. Okay, first thing we'll do is get the Simply Scored scoring tool. I'm going to place it on the 7-inch side, which I like to call that the portrait side, and I'm going to score that at 1.5 on both sides. Okay, now while I still have it here, I'm going to score at 3/4 only on one side. Okay, so 3/4. Now I'm going to turn it on the landscape side, and I'm going to score it at 1.5, 5 1/4, 6 3/4, and 10.5. This is a box I've made before, but I've made it in a different measurement. So this one's a little bit bigger. I made it bigger because I wanted to fit the lighthouse on it. It's also a little bit wider than my previous box. Okay, now let's fold on these score lines. This suite is going to be very, very, very popular. In fact, this embellishment right here, the trinkets, those are already on low inventory. So if you're a demonstrator, you get to order early, and lots of demonstrators ordered those trinkets. But they'll be getting more in, and they haven't gone on back order yet. I anticipate they will. Okay, now I'm going to take my scissors and do some cutting. Let me show you the template. I'll make sure that the diagram is on the inspiration sheet. So here's the template. Okay, so I'm going to start at the bottom of the box. So that's this section here. I'm going to remove this piece. Whoops, come back here. And then I'm going to cut up to the score line, cut up to the score line, and cut up to the score line. Okay, now this tab here, I like to trim just at an angle. And then you can trim this one as well. You don't have to trim them too much, but a little bit's good. And then this little section right here, I'm just going to angle cut, okay? Now let's work at the top of our box. We're going to remove this outside section here and here. Okay, so cut across. For this one, I'm going to cut down. And we're going to remove that, but we're going to wait until after we get this one cut. So, okay, now fold this down so that you don't accidentally cut them. And cut straight across, okay? And now we want to do an angle cut on that. We're going to take the Detail Trio punch. Use whatever corner punch you have. This is the current one in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. I always remind everyone that you only have to press in the middle. When I first got this punch, I used to press on this side thinking that that's how it worked, but you just press in the middle. I'm still laughing that I didn't know that. I'm a visual person. I have to see it. Okay, so now for our adhesive, we're going to place tear and tape here. I'm just going to remove the backing and then fold this over. Okay, so that's the back of our box. This is going to be the front bottom, so we're going to place tear and tape on there as well. I'm just going to use one piece since this is my sample. I already have my dad's box made. I guess I could actually use this for Dave's daddy. Okay, fold this. Okay, so there's our box. This is the front. No, that's the back. This is the front. And the way you can tell is, see, you can see your seam from the bottom. So that's the back. This is the front. And I'm going to take our retired stapler. You can use any stapler you own. Doesn't matter. You can also use like a library clip or a binder clip. All of these have retired. We have some new ones that's in the catalog, but I don't have them yet. But everybody owns a stapler, right? Okay, so let me get the other pieces out here. So the designer series paper is just going to attach right to the front. So I'm going to use my liquid glue. When I started making this project this morning, I almost used this other side, but it didn't quite pop the way I wanted it to, so I decided to use the stripes. Years ago, navy was my favorite color. All my clothes were navy and white. Now they're like black and white. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to take 2 pieces of the Night of Navy and Sahara Sand twine, and they both measure 12 inches, okay? Whoops. And what I'm going to do is take one of the trinkets here, sail away trinkets. I'm using the anchor. I am familiar with anchors. We have one of those on our boat. Okay, I'm just trying to thread. I'm not threading both of them. I'm just threading one, okay? You'll see how this is going to work in just a minute. Of course, I have to lick my finger there. Okay, so now what I want to do is make sure that the anchor is in the middle of the 2 strands. Let's see. Okay, and now I'm going to keep it kind of in my hand. Hopefully you can see that, like I'm keeping my finger on it slightly, and then I'm making my first loop, okay? And then I'm going to wrap it around. There we go. And then now pull. Now you just want to clean up the ends. Okay, see how that's going to look? Pretty good. So we're just going to take a glue dot. So remember, I just threaded the anchor on the bottom strand, okay? Now let's do some stamping. I'm using Night of Navy ink. And here's the first image. Since this image is almost larger than the ink pad, I'm just going to turn it upside down to ink it up. And then stamp. And then I'm going to stamp the greeting as well. Okay, we're going to be cutting or using 3 of the framelits from this set. The lighthouse, the greeting. Oh, what row? Did I leave myself room? Whew, I did. And then the silver foil for that one. So I'm going to get the Big Shot, even though it has retired. Whatever cutting system you have, framelits will work in there. Okay, so let's start with the lighthouse, and we'll see, maybe we can cut 2 of these out at once. I'm not sure. Whoops. Let's see if this will work. Sometimes when there's 2 on, yeah, two of them they kind of make the wet magnets go crazy. Here's that one. Okay, let's bring all of our pieces back in here. I'm going to add the greeting to the box using liquid glue. So I'm just going to turn that over. And I'm going to remind you while I'm adding these layers that there is a free inspiration sheet over on my website that has a picture and the diagram of the box. I'm going to add the lighthouse with a couple dimensionals. Looks like my framelit slipped just a tad. And then I'm going to add this one with some liquid glue, and I'm only going to add adhesive on one side because you can see how it's kind of coming off of the lighthouse. Okay, so here's the original and here's the one we just made. Looks pretty good, right? Okay, thanks a lot. Have a great day.